Yeah, I guess it's hard to put your finger on something specific, but from our point of view, nothing changed in terms of our approach. This wicket was obviously slightly different than some of the other surfaces that we played on. Coming into the game, or after day one, 300 for 9, I think we were, or just over that, to then get to 350. It's always hard to know what a good score is until both teams have batted on a surface, but I think the work we did up top with that new ball, Will O'Rourke, was outstanding in that spell that he managed to get 3 wickets, and similar to the first couple of games, we had England, 4 down quite early, but I think we managed to capitalise on that position that we're in, and obviously managed to bowl them out for whatever we did. So I guess that's probably plays a big factor in the result. But again, we had to, in that third innings, we still had to show up and put a score on the board, and I guess to be in the position we were last night to have the option of pulling out or guys putting the foot down was really pleasing. So and then you obviously come today. We certainly knew it was going to be hard work. The wicket was getting flatter and taking a little bit more turn. But look, the guys are fantastic today. They asked plenty of questions and put the ball in the right areas for long periods of time, which is something we tried to speak about. Was handing the baton over and bowling in partnership. So I guess you never quite have a complete performance, but it was reasonably close to it. Yeah, look, he's been fantastic. I think he's a guy that hadn't necessarily played a huge amount of first-class cricket before he made his Test debut, but I think the leaps and bounds that he's come on over the last 12 months, I guess from our point of view, seeing that spell that he bowled today in particular, obviously getting an important wicket of Harry Brook, but I guess how hostile it was. The speed he gets the ball down, but also the bounce, was pretty impressive to watch. So, he managed to do that in the first innings as well. To be able to break the back or the start of and get those 3 wickets were vitally important. And he's had 2 spells in both innings where he managed to get those breakthroughs. So, obviously didn't necessarily get the 5 wickets or the milestones, but I think the contribution that he made was, went a long way in that match. Yeah, he played fantastically well, and again we talk about contributions, and contributions can look slightly different throughout a Test match, but I think the way he managed to, or the score he managed to put on in that first innings, even on the second day, to bat for an hour there with Will O'Rourke, was outstanding, and obviously took some important wickets in that first innings, and again he did the same in the last 2 innings as well. So obviously great contributions from him, and obviously it's a home ground, so whether he knows the surface really well, but look, he had a great game as well.
Tom Tests this year, 6 wins, 6 losses. How would you assess that overall? Are you satisfied with that, or do you think there's probably a couple you think about that?
I guess you always look back on matches and potential games that you could have won. But I guess for us it's always about focusing on what's coming up, and what's not necessarily what's been. We had an opportunity to come here and push our case for a World Test Championship final, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. But I think throughout the last 12 Test matches, we've had guys that have stood up at different times. We've had guys that have made their debuts, and guys that have performed first up with making those debuts. So we've had guys emerge from the domestic game into international cricket. So I guess from a depth point of view, that's really pleasing, and I'm sure in the future those guys will get more opportunities.
Seeing Will and Mitchell for this match, obviously a slightly different surface, especially in Mitchell's case, but any sort of regrets not bringing 2 form guys from India into those first 2 tests?
Look, it's all wicket dependent, I think. I think you look at the surface and the traditions of the wickets that we played on in those first 2 tests, where spin doesn't necessarily play a huge factor. So from our point of view, we believe that was the best 11. For both those 2 games, you can look back and say, why didn't he play? But yeah, I guess that's the approach we wanted to come in with, and unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. We had our opportunities throughout both Test matches, but or those first 2 Test matches, but we weren't able to capitalise on those opportunities.
It's a long way till you guys get the whites on again, so the extra items of Zimbabwe, but having sort of been thrust with the Test crack that you see pretty rapidly, how much are you looking forward to that? And I guess what lies beyond that in terms of the big year in 2026?
Yeah, I think every time there's the cycle ends of the World Test Championship, you always look forward to, I guess, to what's coming up and what that may potentially look like. So, as you said, it's not, it's 6 or 7 months before we play again. So, yeah, I guess once we get close to that point, we'll sort of have a look at the direction that we want to go. But yeah, obviously pleasing to, as I said, have some guys that have come in and performed straight away, from the domestic game. So from a personnel point of view, it's it's looking bright for us, and I'm sure in time we'll get those opportunities.
Obviously, there's a bit of uncertainty about whether Gary's still going to be the coach beyond the end of this summer. But with this long break, do you think this is the perfect time to sort of take a breath, take a pause, and sort of look at some of those long-term goals in terms of Test cricket?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, things are up in the air at the moment, so we'll obviously let the dust settle on that, and then I'm sure those conversations will be had in due course.
Slightly expecting Kane to be there with you in Zimbabwe next week?
Yes.
Tom, from a personal point of view, I know you've done it before, but how did you find putting the batting before
Yeah, Youngie, played beautifully. Yeah, as you said, have done it in the past with Youngie, but obviously someone that's had his opportunities, throughout his Test career. It's always a hard position when you're that backup batter and you don't necessarily get consistent opportunities. But I think the series in India, the way that he played over there, and then obviously not playing for a while and coming back and playing, in this Test match, I thought he played fantastically well. So. Again, a guy that's played a reasonable amount of international cricket, so I think the way he went about things, his preparation, he's always prepared to play regardless of the situation. So yeah, it's obviously great from his point of view.
Do you think that's a combination we can see again, or Devon Conway is the incumbent? To say about that?
Oh, look, there's a long time till the next Test match. So obviously Devon had the birth of his child over the last few days. So yeah, look, it's. Obviously, Devon will come back in, I'm sure, at some point. So, but as I said, we don't play again until July, which aren't necessarily World Test Championship points. And then our first World Test Championship game is I think, against the West Indies here next summer. So it's obviously a long time away.
Last couple of days. Is still holding court?
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of media to do. But yeah, I'm sure he'll have his moments in the sheds later on. Yeah, I think when anyone leaves the game, you want them to leave on a high, and I guess from our point of view to send them out in that fashion is really pleasing. The wickets, the sixes, they can speak for themselves, but I think the path that he's shown other guys to take is something that he will leave behind. One of the great team men. Someone that doesn't necessarily get the accolades at times, but I think the work that he does for this team is second to none, and we certainly value his contributions throughout his whole career. He's certainly going to be missed. We're going to miss him, but we're looking forward to celebrating what's been an amazing 17-year career for a fast bowler to have longevity in the game. Taking the most amount of wickets for New Zealand, is pretty special. So yeah, he's leaving a legacy behind that I'm sure a lot of youngsters will want to follow. And yeah, certainly been a pleasure to play with him. But yeah, certainly looking forward to celebrating him and his career, later on this afternoon and maybe tomorrow.
Was there any point last week where his place was in doubt? I think it was nothing.
No.
What was the conversation like? You got little agents and explaining to him why he had to miss out?
Yeah, look, it's Tim's done it for such a long time. He's he plays an important role in this team. As I said, sometimes he does the dirty work, the stuff that sometimes people don't see. Bowling into the wind, bowling the hard overs. So guys have got to do that. He's done that for a long time for us, and it was yeah, it's just a fitting end for him to play his final test at home, and we're just stoked that we can we got the win from him.
Is Campbell going back to Latham?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Might get into the changing room.
Wrap it up there.
Perfect.